Hey YouTube, Windraiser here today, coming to you with another Transformers review. And with it almost being somewhat of the middle of the year, I figured I'd do my uh, top 10 legacy, my favorite top 10 Transformers legacy figures that have been coming out, and I've been getting over the last several few months when I can get them. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start with number one. And number one for me is going to be Legacy Crankcase. Um, if you watched my video before, he was one of my. I said how much I love the mold of the figure. Um, yes, it is the skids mold, heavily repainted and heavily retooled, but there's also a story behind this that when I was growing up collecting Transformers as a little kid, my sister was getting into them, and this specific character of the original toy was her very first Transformer. Now, granted, I don't have the original toy anymore because after moving as an Air Force brat, you lose stuff and stuff breaks. I got this toy in memory of my sister. The only I do like the figure. I like the chest, the head, and the homage to the little cannons here in his shoulders. The only thing I don't like is the fact that we have to reuse the same gun as Skids, and then his bumper is a gun. Like, it's molded in there, but I don't know. It's just a weird gun. But tra- uh, Transformers Legacy Crankcase, for me personally, takes number one. Now, for me, coming in at number two, as I don't have him correctly transformed, is going to be Comic Universe Blur. Now, granted, I didn't read the comics. I don't know the different stories in the comics. I try to read them, but I just don't. The only comic I have, Transformer wise, is Beast Uprising. But, anyways, this is about my number two, like, of the figure is Blur. Yes, Blur is a different stylized. He's based off of his comic incarnation due to the new head, uh, the front pylons, and the front piece of his vehicle mode. It only is just a minor retool, minor recolor of Studio Series 86 Blur. But I just like it because it's a figure, because it's a heavy retool of the Titans Return Blur. Transformation is exactly the same, just a few pieces here and there are different. But I like him because of his style, his colors. It just all he's for me. He's my stand-in Blur with all my other Autobots. But I mainly like him because of his head sculpt, and his alt mode is a unique take on his G1 alt mode, but comic style. Coming in at number three for me is Armada Starscream from Legacy. Now, this for me, like, when the Legacy line was announced, we knew where we of the box art, the poster that you see on the side of the box, we knew we were gonna get an Armada Prime. For me personally, I think this was like way out, just thrown out left field. It surprised a lot of us because we have the Thrilling 30 Starscream, Armada Starscream, and we have the Siege and Earthrise Starscream, as well as the Studio Series Earthrise Starscream for the 86 movie. No one knew we were going to get, a lot of us really didn't know we were going to get an Armada Starscream until pictures were leaked of him online everywhere. But I'm just happy we have a new take on the original G1 Armada Starscream. And yes, I'm referring to Armada as G1 for him because he's a unique figure that brought a new take on Starscream's character to me personally. Um, Transformers Armada is what got me back into collecting Transformers because not only were the characters unique and different in their own way, but we had a new line of robots called Minicons. So my favorite, my not gripes, my likes on this figure, it invokes the original toy. they give him his wing blade, though I wish it came out here, but I digress. Um, his transformation is unique. Everything you can do with this figure, you can have these in like this, or you can have them stick out. You can flip this out, or just peg it in, as well as peg these down. They do flip forward. The only things I didn't like about the figure was, if I get somebody to let it go, was they gave him this really dinky Star Saber. We all know who it's supposed to go to. And with every other Armada or Cybertron Legacy figure that's come out, I feel we're being jibbed because we're not getting their mini cons. Like, I see if you're gonna make the Armada or Cybertron characters or anything from the Unicron trilogy, at least make us some mini cons for these guys. Like, that'd be great to have their mini con partners. Now that we've got Armada, Megatron, and Prime out, I would like to see some mini cons for these Hasbro. I love my Armada figures. I want to see mini cons, but Starscream is my brain just farted. My number 3, I think. I think I'm on number 4. Yeah. So for me, number 4 is going to be Jaxus. Oh, thank you so much, Hasbro, for taking a character from the G2 comics and giving him a real toy based off his real look. Yeah, we had the Jax 30 Jaxes, which was just a heavy, just a heavy retool of the 30 Armada Starscream. But they made him I think in the comics he was more like he looked always hunched over like a hunchback, and he was just pushed around, kicked around a lot. This Jaxus was merciless, and I just love how it really invokes, these are supposed to be out, really invokes his G2 self from the comics, especially how they got his head perfect. It is so cool. But he is my number 4. My personal number 5 is the RID. Not the 2015 where we had Strong Arm and the Decepticons were vehicles that had animal robotic forms. No, I'm talking about the one that came before that, which was also known in Japan as car robots. RID universe Scourge. Now, he was part of the Velocitron set that came out that was a Walmart exclusive only. When I heard about these figures, I had to get him, and he was the first one I saw. When I saw him, I picked him up immediately. I do have my original RID Scourge somewhere, and I have my little Spy Changer RID Scourge. But him I had to have immediately. Yes, I know it's a reuse of the Laser Rod G2 Optimus Prime, but the alt mode worked for the character. And the fact that he has upside down, I think those are G2 Autobot symbols. Yeah, G2 Autobot symbols on his shoulders makes him even more of a unique character. He can also be a stand-in for for a Nemesis Prime. But RID Scourge here is my number 5. Coming at number 6 for me is Autobot Point Blank, or Point Blanker. Whatever name you want to call him. He, from my Target Masters growing up, my friend had him, and he would always let me play with this figure. Now that I have a version of him of my own, but in the Legacy line, I still love the character. I liked mostly because of his alt mode. His alt mode reminded me of a Hot Wheels car. But I do love the character. Yes, in the US, he was in the episode arc of what was called the Rebirth, bringing Headmasters and Target Masters to the market. But in Japan, he was part of the Headmaster series, to where an accident happened and the character himself, as well as the little dude he has, were had an accident where they were molecularly bonded with each other. So whenever they connected, his fist would disappear and then he would plug into there. I do like the Target Master though. Invokes the Target Master, also part of it, invokes the original figure. Though Little Small could have had more posability. Mine is still stiff as all can be. But I liked the figure. I like the toy. I like the colors. The transformation was very simple. It is a hassle with some pieces because they are prone to popping off, but you get through it. He does have some clearance issues when it comes to the legs, to putting him in place, but it is what it is. What you can do with a new styled character. So point blank here is number 6. Coming in at number 7 is one of my favorite pretenders. And yes, in this review, or in this line, I didn't pick the other two. I picked Skullgrin the most because he was one of 3 pretender toys I had as a kid. I had him, Stronghold, and Doubleheader. Those were the only pretenders I had. And having a new take on him via the previous one, the Prime Master, the Decoy Armor, who is gone. It's good to have a new Skullgrin figure. I do like how they are combining the aesthetics of the Pretender shell and the robot form together to form one cohesive unit, as well as using the robot's alt mode as its alt mode for the entire figure. Granted, for him, his alt mode is a little lackluster. Granted, it's supposed to be a tank, and yet he has the treads, but they only are in the back portion of the tank and nothing's up front. So his tank mode is a little lackluster, but he shines very well in his alt mode, or in his robot pretender mode. For me personally, coming in at number 8 is Minerva. Now, I recently just did a review on her, and I'm happy to have her. She is a minor retool, repaint of the Legacy RC mold. The alt mode for her works very well because I see it. I'm actually watching the show now on YouTube. It invokes her original alt mode in the cartoon, and it visualizes her character. The only sad thing is that this figure is not a Headmaster. It's okay, but I do love it. She is a Walmart or a Walgreens exclusive here in the States, and I believe in Canada she is a GameStop exclusive or EB Games exclusive. But if you don't have RC, if you don't have the Elita 1 mold of this figure, I do recommend it. She is one of my favorites, but sadly she is at the bottom of the list. Coming in at number 9 is Blitzwing. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. Yes, his buddy Astro Train in my War for Cybertron Siege Earthrise Kingdom countdown. Astro Train was higher. Blitzwing is a little lower. He's very low on the totem pole there. Basically, his robot mode is good. I do love his robot mode. Very nicely done. It's his secondary alt mode, his jet, and his tank. They do pull off to what the original toy was supposed to look like, but this is just my opinion. For me, I think the jet could have been a little bit better per se. I don't know how to word it, but that's just my opinion. I do love his tank mode. For me, his jet mode is just it's missing some qualities for the original that the original G1 toy had. So that's why he sits at number 9. And last but not least, coming in at number 10 is Metal Hawk. Why is he a number 10 for me? Well, granted, yes, he's a good figure. His his robot mode is beautiful. It's wonderful. You do have his guns here on the side of his legs, and I have his titanium sword here on the back. His robot mode is wonderful. It is a heavy retool of the Studio Series, or I'm not sorry, not Studio Series, the Kingdom Cyclonus. I never had that figure, but I have his brother that shares the same skeletal body type. It's more or less of his vehicle mode that doesn't hit it home for me. Because, like I said with Minerva, and for Skullgrin, I'm watching the show of Super God Master Force that these characters are from. He's Japan, and he never came here to the States unless you count his Prime Master decoy armor that we got in Power of the Primes. Having our first Metal Hawk figure is very good. His robot mode I love 100%. It's his alt mode I don't really have a soft spot for, and because he's part of the Legacy Evolution, his Evo Fusion is just lazy. I mean, that's it. So for me, Metal Hawk sits at number 10. So there you guys have it. This is my top 10 Transformers Legacy and Legacy Evolution figures. Final thoughts on all of these guys. I do love each one and every one of them in their own uniqueness. Some of them could have had better weapons. Some of them could have had a better alt mode. And some of them could have really could have used certain partners of theirs that they had in their original toy line. But all in all, every one of these figures is unique in their own way, and I'm happy to have each and every one of them. Yet some of them were really hard to track down, namely these two. But I do love each and every one of them, and I thank you guys for sticking around this long with me and my reviews. I do apologize that I don't get my reviews out as much as I want to, but because I work night shifts, I'm asleep a lot during the day, and I really don't have time to put videos out until I get home from work. So I do appreciate that you guys my fans, my subscribers here, stick around as much as you can to just see what I'm going to put out next. I really would like you guys to continue doing that, continue liking my videos, continue please letting people know to subscribe to my channel, and that way I can keep doing this and bringing these videos out to you and giving you my opinions on my favorite figures and whatnot. I may do a top 10 of my favorite Studio Series figures. Granted, I don't have a lot of them, but I may do that. I'm also going to try and do some I'm going to go back a bit and do some old reviews, do some old toy reviews on some old toys I have, Transformers I have, and some new reissues that I have, and do some reviews on ones I've never touched or reviewed. So I do thank you all for sticking around this long. I'm Windraiser. I need to stop ranting. I'm Windraiser. My brain just farted. Sorry. So this is what happens when I want to go to sleep. Thank you guys for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I'm Windraiser, and I'll see y'all on the next review.